Hi. Hello, everyone. Dani, please. Please. We haven't even started Good Cop, Bad Cop yet.
Episode of Dynamite, everybody. Sure.
Hi, everybody.
I said, what a great episode of Dynamite, everybody.
You want to know why I'm really pissed? I was busy today. And I didn't get off until 8. And I rushed home. Like, my thing is like, bro, like I rushed home and I just felt like, seriously, I could have diddled and dawdled. I will say, I think that it's important to say here that openers matter. Because I'm not gonna lie, I think that the rest of the episode probably could have been fantastic, but I'm not gonna lie, for the whole first 45 minutes, I was just stuck on that opening promo. Like, I can't lie about it. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to pretend. Not going to fake the funk with you guys. It was a lot. Dani, are you frozen? I think she's frozen. Oh, she's not frozen. Hi.
No. I was for a second. I lied.
It's okay.
Look. Right.
Do we just want to go ahead and start with the opener? Because I think it's important to talk about. I think it's important to talk about.
Sure.
I think it's very important to talk about. Listen, here's the thing. I don't know, like, I see a comment in here saying that outside of MJF's promo, it's hard to care. I'm gonna be honest, he was the problem. He started the problem, and everything kind of like just afterwards. Like, this is my thing. I think that Maxwell Jacob Friedman is very talented. I think that he's a great wrestler. I think that he's an above average talker. But for some reason, I don't know how a 27-year-old is talking like a stale 45-year-old. Like, there's no way that you're already burnt out on material this early in your career. Like, how? I don't get it. And also coming out with the, like, I'm not understanding the Triple H cosplay. I don't get it. Like, I don't fucking get it. This wolf call, I don't fucking get it. And I think also it's just the low-hanging fruit. Like, we've talked about it on this show. We talk about on this show, like, wrestling is becoming more international and diverse. Listen, I'm all for be a heel. You know, we are haters. This is a hater-friendly show.
We love hate.
Hating. We believe in hate. Hate wins. Hate is real.
I swear by it. Hate wins.
But a real hater does not have to stoop to racism or xenophobia or any of those types of things. Because real haters are creative. That's what being a real hater is about at the end of the day. Christian Cage doesn't have to do any of these things. Because why? Because he's a real hater. And when you go out there,
either you got it or you don't.
And when you go out there and this motherfucker's been going for months and it's like, yeah, Swerve's beneath me, Ospreay's beneath me, and then talking about Okada's body is this and Roosh can't talk, etc. But then trying to say you're a third generation, but like, no, you've already told the audience that these people don't matter. You've already told the audience that these Mexican Japanese wrestlers are beneath you. And then you try to like beat them. It doesn't work like that. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that, because that's why even when Max was gone, you still had crowds making stupid take a shit a chance after what he said about Takeshita months ago.
And I will catch each and every one of you for it. You will see me about it. Let me say this, right? I have so many thoughts about this opening promo. First of all, for everybody that participated in the poll, thank you so much. It was 12 minutes and 27 seconds, that whole opening promo. So make sure you come claim your prize if you had the 10 to 15 range. Here's what I'll say, right? MJF, and I think we talked about it a great deal while he was gone. Looking at the current AEW product, it was always going to be a little bit difficult to see where this new version of MJF was going to fit directly in, considering everything else that's going on. And I think that was just made more evident by this promo because it felt like a relic of his world title reign. And that's not the same company anymore, right? Like,
no. Or at least it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. It's not. And here's what else I'll say. You got away with a lot of more shit because you were world champion. You're not world champion anymore, right?
And
so
also,
understanding.
so many great. Just keep going.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, and so there's that understanding too. Like, so we talk about world champion privilege. That's gone. That's gone. So you were given a lot of grace even in some of those things because of the status that you held at the top of the card. Realistically, right? I have two major thoughts on this. One, like, it would be your bars would hit more if there was any truth to any of them, right? You sitting up here talking about Okada don't work out. Look at him. Come
also,
be serious.
Okada is like the standard perfect body type for a Japanese top guy. Like, I think that's what's even crazier. Like, and we always talk about it. Okada is a comedy wrestler born into like the perfect main event wrestler body. Like, if you look at Japanese top guys over the past, I would say 4 decades, Okada's like the perfect, like body structure wise, he's like the perfect mix of all of them, of being like, big enough to be super strong, being small enough to be super agile, tall, long reach. Like, Okada is perfect. Have you seen that face, those teeth?
All we do at least once every time Okada comes on the screen is like, wow, look at his legs. It's the nicest legs in all of wrestling.
You see those calves?
But like, come on. My point was, right? True and valid hatred is rooted in a little bit of truth. That bar has no truth to it. Telling Roosh, we can't hear you, we can't understand you. That bar has no truth to it.
That was fucked up.
I'm everybody sitting there like, we all got it. You didn't get it, skill issue.
I think also
and even you every single person that you went through, it's like, okay, there's no truth to anything that you're saying, and so you've lost your credibility. Talk about Ospreay's teeth. Look at him.
And then talking about all the people that he's beat, like, I beat these people. Ospreay beat people.
I was sitting there and I was like, you lucky that little Brit at home, because absolutely not.
He said, I beat Cody Rhodes. I beat.
And look, I gotta be so honest. If you wanted to do some of the stuff that MJF was saying, right, you could have said that we can't understand Ospreay, which sometimes I'll be turning the captions on for Ospreay sometimes, but Roosh, everybody understood him. Sitting here talking about, Okada don't work out. So now you look a little bit dumb because these are things that aren't true. And so then you start thinking about, okay, like, what are these actually rooted in? So one, there's that whole issue with the promo. Two, what the hell were you talking about? I feel like we got so sucked into each and every one of those so-called reads that, like, what was your point? What did you have to say to us? I'm still the top guy. You're not, though, is the thing.
You're not.
You're not. And so I understand your assertion, but also, like, you talked for 20 minutes at the pay-per-view to Adam Cole, but you didn't do shit. You came back and were like, I ain't got shit to do with the Undisputed Kingdom.
You kicked him between the legs and did a 20-minute promo. That's it.
Like,
somebody who was already injured. Somebody who was already injured, by the way. Ooh.
Me personally, I would have handled that. That would have been my first order of business. And the whole Undisputed Kingdom, I would have said, Roderick Strong, come outside. But you didn't. You didn't say any of that. You know what else my issue is, though, right? And this is a little bit separate, and we could sit here all day, and will, and deservedly so, talking about microaggressions and racism, and how all of this stuff just don't sit right. And it's starting to culminate a little bit. It's giving weird, but also, right? Wardlow and MJF are now having a furry off. I have said this before on this show, where I was like, Wardlow, each shirt that he he puts out is veering into a territory that I'm not sure if he's familiar with. But I just sit there and I wonder, I'm like, does he know that this might go a little bit beyond his intended target audience? But, and then MJF comes back, he's like, I'm the wolf, I'm the. Are you?
I think that they should wrestle at a furry convention.
I think that's the only true solution. One of you has to give it up.
Somebody needs to.
One of you has to give it up, right? They probably love it, you know. I mean, the furries. But yeah, I just could not stop thinking about that, because then Wardlow went on Twitter and he's like,
I saw the tweets. I will say, I giggled.
Like, he took all my stuff. I said, well, you want it that bad?
I do think it's really funny. I will say, like, and I've said this on Twitter, I've been going through a lot in my personal life recently, and so I've been trying to honestly only ingest wrestling that feels fun. Like, really, like, I've been trying to stay away from the heavy critiques and shit and really just have fun. But I guess it's not possible, because I think that I would be remiss to not, like, speak on this. It's just,
absolutely, we've
already been seeing, like, even before this promo happened tonight, like, somebody tweeted it, shout out to DDT Divas, and talking about, like, the microaggressions and the xenophobia as we head into Forbidden Door season, and with AEW's partnerships with their international partners, and how certain people, you know, receive it. And I think that on one end, I do think that a lot of this is like a Twitter vacuum, right? I think, like, the most fans love the concept of Forbidden Door, right? But I also believe that at the end of the day, a lot of fans also mimic their favorite wrestlers. Yep. And I think that MJF is 100% one of those people. And so when he says that we shouldn't care about what Rush has to say, anything, I'm all for being a heel, but we have to think about like this from a sense. Rush rarely, if ever, gets any live promo time, and definitely not without help. He doesn't have Jose the assistant out there anymore. He's out there by himself. He's cutting a promo in English, you know, and he's doing the thing. And honestly, for somebody with English not as their first language, he did a damn good job. Yeah. Like, he did a damn good job. And I think that,
all right, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I think that when you say stuff like that and then try to walk it back, it's too late, because you've already enabled it. And I think that, and I'm not saying it because I know how y'all get when, like, we say such races. I'm not saying that he is or he isn't, but what I'm saying is that there is something about MJF that enables people, wrestling fans, to be the worst of themselves at times. And he plays into that.
I think, well, you know what? Somebody actually made a really good point in here. It said part of being a good heel is building up your opponent, because we need to know why we should care about this match.
Absolutely.
We need to know why it matters that Rush came down here, and why you're so mad at each other all of a sudden is swinging, you know, and all up in the ring. And I think that that's a really good point as well. I think that MJF, my issue is that you keep thinking it, or that it keeps happening. That's my issue. Is that, yes, you know, you would have thought like the Takeshita shit would have been like, I don't know, a wake-up call, a clock, or whatever. But I do think that part of it, like I said, was at the time he felt as a character untouchable. There was nothing that you could say to him to get him to say anything different. It was, screw you, I'm the world champion, you know. And I think that sense of I don't want to say entitlement, but like at the same time, it's our show. I'll say whatever. 100% entitlement. And I think that shows up. And so we sit here and we talk about, like, okay, like the xenophobic undertones, absolutely. In this promo, he tried to kind of disguise them, but the problem is you do it repeatedly and they build, you know, and people build on that. And so then people start to think that that's okay, because that's what your character is saying about these people. So it's cool if I say something else. It's cool if I throw another, you know, bar out there. And then we just kind of have this this silo of batshit awful things that are said. And again, it's really important to me that I get across, like, I love being mean. I really do.
Truly.
I want to ruin people's lives when it comes down to it, though. Like, a true hater, your hate doesn't have to end with ism or obic, okay? You should just, it's just something about you that I'm gonna find something to say. I'm gonna have you looking in the mirror different for the rest of your fucking life. All right? He doesn't have that. He's not giving that right now. And I was just gonna finish off by saying, right, like, I think that what the problem is that sometimes we see that. Sometimes we do see that fire that is motivated by other things. And other times, like tonight, it doesn't feel like he has a whole lot to say. So he resorts to a lot of that superficial, low-hanging fruit, this, that, or a third. But when you have all these eyes on you and when you demand all of this attention, like, nah, bro, if you're gonna talk for 13 minutes, have something to fucking say.
I think that MJF in a lot of ways brings out the worst in AEW, but I also blame AEW and I blame Tony because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, how do I say it? There's been 3 men who have ever been built from scratch by AEW and the World Champions: Hangman, MJF, and Swerve. And by far, MJF has been the most protected out of all of them. He's taken less losses than all of them. He's won more feuds overall in all of them. And when you think about character development, and I think this isn't even like going into like the racism obics of what he said, right? It's just simply about character development. You came back from an injury, and I mean, literally nothing has changed. Swerve has been in that company less time than MJF, and we've seen his character change more dynamically, I mean, 1,000,000 times over than we've seen from MJF. Same thing with Hangman. Hangman is one of those people. Guess what? Oh, sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you and just saying, like, and I think that that's like, this was an for that. And I think that was part of the reason that I was so disappointed, I guess, in particular with this promo, because you had reason to come back angry and to come back a different person. You were betrayed in the ultimate way, and it didn't feel like that made an impact on you at all. So also feels like we wasted 1.5 years of our time
100%.
with with all that shit.
We're
so
just
I'm like
this shit never happened.
Like, huh?
And also, we're doing all that. We're pretending it never happened. And it's also like, it feels like we're building him to just win all the time. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I truly believe that the only way that you could get me to be semi-interested in MJF at this point is that do the same shit to him that y'all did to Hangman. Tear him down and build him back up. He needs to lose.
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no intention of seeing Roosh lose. I do not want to see it. Like, he needs to lose. His character has been
need to be losing a Wardlow.
He has been so protected, more protected than just about anybody. Like, at this point, you've been in the company longer than just about anybody. You were one of the first signings to AEW. Everybody else has changed, evolved. The Young Bucks took losses. Kenny Omega took losses and had to rebuild. Everybody has had to rebuild. Jon Moxley has had to rebuild. Bryan Danielson is rebuilding.
Yep.
Everybody is evolving their characters. I can honestly say, if we look back to, when did Swerve debut? Revolution 22, right? If we look back from Revolution 22 to today, if we look at Swerve, Hangman, Bucks, Mox, Danielson, Takeshita, Garcia, everybody has changed. I was gonna say,
even looking at people that I would consider more along the lines of like his peers, because like you're great. You're not Danielson, you're not Omega, so I'm not gonna expect that of you. But looking at look at Darby.
You're skipping.
But Darby feels like an absolute superstar. nuh-uh. Darby feels like an absolute superstar every time he comes out here, and his pairing with Sting was, you know, some of the best stuff that we were seeing on TV. It's just about keeping yourself fresh and keeping yourself relevant. And DG, how many Darby lose every other week, you know? He get ragdolled all the time. DG, how many times we've been like, this needs to be the moment, you know? But he keeps building himself back up. MJF has never been in the position where he has started at the absolute bottom, because he was always next up, and he was always being protected, even in the anticipation of his superstardom. You know, before he was world champion, before he was, you know, whatever, he was, you know, a golden goose, quote unquote. And so, yeah, you need to be on the receiving end of some major losses. You are not ready to be in the world title picture right now. You shouldn't be.
I'm gonna be honest, it's not even more.
And you remember the rankings?
I mean, absolutely. And I think also somebody said, like, I think he's protected because he's scared of losing WWE. Listen, he's in a multi-year deal. And like, if we're gonna be doing this shit for the next 3 years, release him now. I'm sorry. I know, like, some people, that's y'all people. I don't know. If this is what it is, because here's the thing, there's too many top guys who are willing to lay down and who are so much. And I think, like, we're at this thing of, like, we have these dynamic characters. And I don't feel like anybody comes out of a feud with MJF looking better. Like, the best feuds he's had has been with established. He looks better. He been with established.
And he always reminds everybody why we put so much stock into him. And I will say, I'm somebody, like, I talk a lot of shit about MJF, and then he wrestles, and I'm like, I'm fine. You know, I can live with that. I really enjoy his wrestling when he actually wrestles, and I enjoy some of his promo work when he has something to say, you know. But I feel like all the time we are giving him microphone time when he doesn't have anything to say.
Because the thing is, and we said this before on this show, you're giving him microphone time because his gimmick is that he doesn't want to wrestle. He doesn't feel like wrestling. And that might have worked, you know, a year or two ago. But now you have a roster full of top guys who want to talk and wrestle. Kazuchika Okada is cutting promos weekly and wrestling. Will Ospreay is probably now a top 5 talker in AEW and wrestling regularly. And I think, honestly, Swerve doesn't get enough credit. He has been killing it, like, on the mic and in the ring. These are, like, legitimate top guys. Hangman is on the shelf. Like, I mean, you know, like, I feel like any issue with Swerve is more so with the booking part, maybe. But I think that he has delivered in ring. And
he's definitely delivered in ring, for sure.
I think he's delivered.
I just feel like and we could talk, well, I have plenty of thoughts about this later, so I'll save that for later. But that's my thoughts on the MJF thing. We done talked about it about as long as he talks, so we can call it even.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to say is that I think that, especially, like I said, I understand being a heel, but also this is forbidden door time. And I think that with so many eyes being on the product, and not all of them being kind as far as international partners and things like that, I just don't think it's a good idea to belittle international partners. I just don't. Of just like, the Mexicans are beneath me, the Japanese are beneath me, this. I understand that MJF's gimmick is that he thinks that in New Japan is an indie, whatever. But truly, if we really want these relationships to be successful and feel like equals, like, I just don't see what we get from that. Because here's the thing, you're telling the audience to not see these people as legitimate. Like, you're telling them to go into Forbidden Door not seeing these matchups as equals. Like, that's and obviously some people are smart enough to think for themselves, 100%, right? But a lot of wrestling fans are not smart. They're gonna be like, MJF said the New Japan is an indie, and so it's an indie, and that we don't care about the Mexicans. And they confusing CMLL for AAA and all sorts of stupid shit. Like, let's just be real. Common sense is not common. Turn it on.
And I think I think that much is like amplified by the fact that he hasn't been here. So him coming back and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna step in the arena and wrestle some random guy from Mexico or Japan. Like, you ain't been here doing nothing, but we know that you have this certain status already, you know? So you're just immediately stating that whoever it might be is gonna be beneath you. And that's something that you can say about somebody that works here. You can say that about Darby, for example, and we're all gonna be like, we know Darby. We know Darby's good. But there's gonna be people, like you said, who are not, you know, typical viewers of some of these international partners and don't know these people. And now what's their first thought of these people that's gonna, you know, step is, oh, that's just some random guy because, you know, I don't know who that is. I don't need to care who that is because MJF said it doesn't matter. So not even necessarily maliciously. It's just now that you've planted that before it even, you know, before it even comes to fruition.
And let's also keep it a buck. And I want to say this.
I hated this episode. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to say this. If you're not checking for anybody at Forbidden Door, but guess what? Nobody's checking for you either. Like, first Forbidden Door, you weren't on it. Nobody missed you. Last year, you were on it. Nobody fantasy booked you anywhere. Nobody wanted anything. Nobody was thinking about MJF at Forbidden Door last year. Let's just be honest. That match with Tanahashi came last minute, and that's why I opened the show. This year, everybody starts fantasy booking Forbidden Door. Anybody said MJF? No. Crickets. We went everywhere. We went to Japan. We went to Mexico, and nobody knew you. This pay-per-view just happens to be in Long Island, New York, and guess what? Still, nobody's checking for you. I have not seen a fantasy matchup yet. Have you seen a New Japan or CMLL MJF fantasy matchup on the? Please put it in the chat. If anybody has seen it, if you've seen any of the tweets, send them to me. Tag me in them. Nobody was checking for you either, and I think that it's just super disrespectful to, like, at the end of the day, I get gimmicks are gimmicks, whatever. But these international partnerships are important. AEW still doesn't have distribution in certain countries, such as Japan, and they're still working on things like that. And I think that it's disrespectful to the guys who are doing this work. Jon Moxley dedicated his career to the Forbidden Door gimmick concept. Bryan Danielson has literally hitched the last leg of his career on the Forbidden Door concept. Swerve, but when Swerve was still taking L's in AEW, he was the unfortunate soul that used to get sent to New Japan Strong over the pandemic and used to get sent to AAA Triple Manias. And same thing, and we know what Ospreay has done all over the world. And we know it, like, Kenny, Heyman, the Bucks. We know what these people have done all over the world. And you are talking about, so this beneath me, nobody gives a fuck about you. And in the grand scheme of Forbidden Door, everything else AEW is fair game. But to come in here and be like, fuck Forbidden Door, I don't care about the Mexican, we don't care about you. Not on this. I don't give a fuck if it's in Long Island. And I think I get passionate about this, obviously, because I'm a big fan of international wrestling. And I believe that as the international borders between worlds start to dissolve, we have to start respecting Japanese, Mexican, and all sorts of international talent on the same level that we talk about American talent, if not better, because a lot of them have higher training regimens, harder schedules, and less pay, and oftentimes better performances. And I'm getting really sick of this shit. And it's not just because of Max, but Max is a representative of a crowd that is getting louder and louder. And my thing, what I don't want is for those thoughts and opinions to eventually metastasize into something that we can't stop, to the point to where these partnerships, to the point where these Japanese organizations and these Mexican organizations be like, we don't need this. Because let's just be honest, New Japan is a little broke. CMLL don't need this shit. Like, CMLL do not need this shit. I love New Japan, but let's just be real. CMLL is the oldest wrestling organization in the world. They don't need this. Rocky Romero did not literally bend over backwards to make all these crazy ass deals for Maxwell Jacob Friedman to say fuck the forbidden door.
Okay. I can see that this touches your heart.
No,
good. It's okay because I'm gonna have my turn later.
Willow came back in the first 30 minutes. I couldn't even focus because I was so pissed. Like I'm legit pissed. I'm muting myself.
If this is ever a space to get it out, this is it. This is our show. We can say whatever the fuck we want. So I will say I agree with a lot of the things that you said. On a personal level, like, I'm largely indifferent about MJF, especially now that he's not world champion. What he said tonight didn't help him. It did not help his talent. It did not help the people that he might potentially be fighting in the long run. It did not help his angle with the Undisputed Kingdom. So in addition to all the things that you said, like, it wasn't necessary, I don't feel like. So I think, yeah, look, the MJF conversation, I don't get particularly moved by it because, and you talking about, like how that sort of metastasizes, come on dictionary, in a number of different ways. My problem, honestly, is that I have every single man on Twitter muted and 90% of wrestling accounts blocked. I have no idea what
That's real.
This past week, I found out this morning, and they were like, "Oh, Danielle, this is something that it seemed kind of relevant." No idea. So if y'all, I love existing in an echo chamber. So if we're having conversations that I feel like are not productive, or I feel like are just redundant of, xenophobic, racist comments, I'm not seeing them. I don't fucking know. I don't care.
Here's the thing. I don't know if like people like purposely seek me out. They do. Don't get me wrong. I have over 900 accounts blocked, and I am blocking as hard as I can. I'm trying as hard as I can, but I still see what did Samoa Joe said, these whole ass comments. I'm still seeing these whole ass comments, and I don't know. I'm just so frustrated because, like, for me personally, American wrestling has been really hit or miss for me recently. The reason why I'm still like right now, like, what's been sustaining me is international wrestling. Like, I'm just sorry. I don't care if New Japan got $1 in the bank account. Respect them niggas.
They sure do.
Like, I don't tell you. Like, respect them. And don't you ever wait.
New Japan on that Dani budget.
Also, invoking the name of Hiroshi Tanahashi. Are you dumb? Are you crazy? He said Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Shut up.
Enough.
But yeah, I mean, look. I don't want this whole show to be consumed by MJF because I still have plenty hate in my heart for Chris Jericho. No, it's fine. I'm just saying that I think balance is good.
I think we should jump from hate to hate and show people how to really do it. In that case, I'm gonna be honest. I have never said this about AEW before. I'm a huge AEW fan. I've never been, quiet about it. But truly,
we wouldn't do the show if we weren't AEW fans. That would be fucking weird.
Exactly. But what I'm about to say is going to sound like true hater activity, but I don't give a fuck. If those ratings are 450K this week, y'all deserve it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care what the discourse look like tomorrow. They can jump y'all. I don't care what the Fed stand say, like the E-Drone say tomorrow. They can have you. For this show, for this week only, whatever y'all get, y'all deserve that shit. And I'm not gonna lie. If the ratings somehow uptick, it's time we need to start shooting each other. I've never
look.
Sorry.
If the ratings somehow uptick during the Chris Jericho segments, I personally will eliminate myself just so it can go down by one.
I'm not gonna lie. I've never felt like this before, but damn.
Oh my God. He look at me. This man. The fury I felt come through me. Every time he showed up, by the fourth time, I wish I could have reached through that damn screen. Look, okay. Chris Jericho, and we said it, I've said it before on this show, right? Like, a lot of what Chris Jericho is doing is similar to the bit that the Bucks is doing. The difference is theirs is good.
One is good.
All right. And then one is Chris Jericho. Because what it is he thinks that he's doing self-awareness and irony, but really it's just how out of touch do you need to be to understand that, like, we're not being mean to you ironically.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm convinced.
This isn't go home heat. This is
the Bucks did not hit Tony Khan hard enough. They didn't. Because what the fuck? Like, it got
look.
Like, no, like, this is like, do you know how I've said on a few times on the show, the reason why I stopped watching WWE is because there would be so many times on Mondays and Friday nights I would go to sleep like viscerally angry. Like, and I'm like, wrestling shouldn't make you.
I was sitting there and I was like, I wish I could clock this hoe like I was in Mario and little coins would come out. I really, really do.
Like the first one, it was okay. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Not okay in the sense that I liked it, but I was just like, okay, it's over, right? Like, we're done for the rest of the show.
I knew in my heart of hate. I said, no, he's getting out the car. He's gonna have to walk somewhere. God damn it, he gonna walk somewhere. I said, God forbid he comes the fuck out here. Chris Jericho. And the thing is, now he's gone full on, like, full on, like, oh, like, I don't know, like teacher on coke, where he's like, it's okay, everybody, I'll teach you what you're gonna do. Look. He's sitting there in catering talking about, oh, this is how you scoop the food. Look at me in my eyes. Look at me in my eyes. Life is so short. The climate is changing. All right.
Also, you wrote a beautiful article about climate
change. Yeah, we're all gonna die. Wait, we need to check out the article of Black Girl Wrestling. But look, the planet is warming, the sea levels are rising. Our time here is so limited. You wasted my time on God's precious earth that he created for all of us to enjoy the fruits of his labor. Jesus by Christ. Trying to explain to someone how to scoop their own food. Now, mind you, right? Again, we talk about things that accomplish nothing. In addition to being incredibly annoying, what the fuck did that do?
I think also it was extremely excessive in the sense of, why the fuck does Chris Jericho have more segments than Swerve?
Why does Chris Jericho...
Like, my thing is also, he doesn't have a real championship. The FTW championship isn't even recognized by AEW. It's not. And it's also, you have 4 segments. 4.
Look at me. When was the last time you saw anybody have 4 fucking segments, let alone an FTW champion?
Never.
When Hook was champion, we'd see that bitch every time there was a full moon or something. It was never.
Half the time he was gonna be on Rampage,
and half the time he wasn't gonna say shit. He keep talking about learn from your elders, learn from the young folks. Shut the fuck up.
Even Sting wasn't taking up all this crazy TV time.
And
Christian Cage doesn't take up that much TV time. Adam Copeland didn't take up that much TV time. I feel like, truly, like, honestly, if the ratings tank this week, it's on them. And honestly, truly, we need to. I've never thought about conspiring against the wrestling company before, especially.
I have.
But no, I'm talking about in the sense of, I try not to be a ratings follower, but if those quarters peak again, I think the rational ones of us are going to have to come together, come up with the hashtag of turn the TV off. No more hashtag turn it off.
No, the problem is he's gonna use that. He thinks he's over as a heel. He's gonna use that as, you guys keep saying no more Jericho, I'm gonna teach you. It's a never-ending cycle. He thinks he wins, and at the end of the day, I think there are but few ways that we can end this, right?
My thing is, we got a mere glimpse of Konosuke Takeshita today, just a glimpse.
But what a good glimpse it was.
Listen, I just want to say, pause real quick. Let's put a little bit of positivity up here.
God damn.
is a man. God damn. I'm talking about, that's a tier of man that Konosuke Takeshita, you are on that Hangman Kenny, like that special,
like we got a place for you here.
Like that special tier. Like
we got a place for you here, baby.
You will always have
anytime a home. You always have a home here.
You will always have a home.
The lights on, the kitchen ain't never closed. Okay. Whenever you need to come home.
You have a home. Konosuke Takeshita, goddamn, them parachute pants. I'm pouring honey on you. I'm gonna become a beekeeper.
He can't even move.
I can make you. I'm gonna get my own beehive. Okay. Listen,
I'm gonna go to clown school to learn how to entertain you.
I am just a girl. I felt moved.
And look, to everybody else is saying, oh, I felt similarly. You know, I love Takeshita too. Like that's my man. Don't forget about the time they found human remains in his house. Right? So you don't want anything to do with that. Okay, guys. You don't want he's yeah, that's what they're saying. That's the word on the street.
That's so fun. Don't tell me about that. Don't tell me about that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, listen, it takes a certain type of strong woman. Okay? Strong woman. It takes a certain type. Luckily, I've been practicing. Hey, whoa.
I like look. Long story short, I'll just say I really enjoyed God's work that he put in when he created.
Real. You were skipping a bit, but she was saying that he's essentially a gift to God's green.
No, I want to read it.
Okay.
Because
you're still skipping. Every time you try to give the speech.
No.
Yeah.
It's Chris Jericho. He knows what he's fucking done, and now he's one of those conspiracy theorists, right? Stop the count.
Okay, you're good. You're good again. Okay, give the speech now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just Konosuke Takeshita. Love.
Oh my god! It literally started. Really... I'm sorry. The fact that it started skipping every time she tried to go on her Takeshita rant is so fucking funny. I would like to say though, Konosuke Takeshita, you are sunshine on a cloudy day. I want to know if you like Olive Garden, and potentially Jodeci. I am into all of those things. Have you ever heard Donald Jones? I would love to show you the finer things in life. Konosuke.
No, time out. No. I leave for 2 seconds. And you are my man? What happened to loyalty? What happened to friendship?
You gotta work smart, not hard. I'm gonna be honest, that's a man.
This bitch got my Wi-Fi. Last thing. Again. We can't move on until I say this. Konosuke Takeshita, we love and appreciate your work. We think you're great at your job.
Amazing.
We also think that God was really good at his job when he made you. And it means a lot to me that he went ahead and did that.
Woo! Yeah, baba, say, hey.
He will do it. He will do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, Takeshi's great, but there was no reason for Jericho to have 4 segments on this show. He doesn't even have a rival. And then, oh my god, you motherfuckers want to put him in private
or a match. If there was ever a nigga who is not on the list, it is Chris goddamn Jericho. Where the fuck is the bouncer?
There's Isaiah Cassidy has been wrestling. Everybody, he's been wrestling what? Samoa Joe. He wrestled. Who did he have this recently? This past week. It was a really good match. Damn. Was it Roosh? He wrestled Roosh, and then he also wrestled. Okay, that's fine. Who else did Isaiah Cassidy just wrestle? Because he had like a big opponent. I forgot. I think it was on Collision. Was it on Collision? It wasn't on Collision or Rampage. Either way, he's been having these really great shows. I don't want to see him job to Chris Jericho. I just have no intention. I don't want to see it. Who was it? Because I think Mark Quinn is injured. It was Ray Phoenix.
Yeah.
I'm not interested, guys. Like, I'm not interested in seeing him job these people, especially with, you know, his tag team partner being out. Like, there's so much potential to like actually build here, and I just feel like there's nowhere to go right now if you're being paired with Jericho. And like, who else was he with backstage? Was that the Infantry that he was
with? I couldn't tell you. I was so mad.
Honest, I can't tell you either, clearly. Yeah, I'm just frustrated. I will say though, out of those segments, Brian Keith is making the best out of the situation. And I really I'm praying for that. I'm praying for him, man. I'm praying for him. I just because
look.
Dog.
I'm that you know it's bad when I take a second to say we need to free Brian Keith and Private Party expeditiously. Abraham Lincoln once said,
Stop. We cannot get canceled before this shit gets monetized. No. Stop the count.
All right.
Just go ahead and say it. Fuck it. It's after 11.
Nah, I mean, I think message received. What is in the air today?
No, like literally, I just feel like, bro, a bad Dynamite really fuck up the juju, Brad. I don't want to say, and honestly, I don't want to say it was all bad because it wasn't. But the bad parts were so overwhelmingly terrible to the point to where I'm sorry, y'all gonna get the smoke today. Cause what the fuck was that? Especially after last week, we were doing so well. I felt like we were doing so well. We were having such a great time. I don't feel like we're having a good time right now. We're not having a good time. Like, why the fuck? Like, I'm sorry. All I could hear in my head was Carmen Berzado. Why are you fucking with me? Why are you fucking with me? Because what would ever enable you to do not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 fucking learning tree segments? 4! Like, oh my God. Like, it got, like, it's so bad and it's so glaring to the point to where even the good parts of Dynamite, it gets overshadowed because you just think that, oh, this show could have been even better if we utilized that time somewhere else.
Or fucking kept it. Because four Jericho segments and an overrun. Can somebody please start running the numbers back there, bro? Like,
bro, the thing is though, I pay the $5 to WrestleNomics every month. And I hate to say it. I like when I say this kills me to say, the numbers are 100% in his favor. Like they really are. They really are. Like, and my thing is like, that's why I think I'm just, because my thing is starting to be like, y'all, something's not clicking. And I think 45 days, you're so smart.
We're getting closer. 245. When I hit a year, I'm gonna be in your DMs.
Absolutely, as you should, Queen. I just think that we've gotten to the point where I'm not even mad at Chris Jericho anymore. I'm mad at all of you. Because when we get on Twitter and I'm hooping and hollering, I want you to know I'm dead serious. But clearly some of you motherfuckers are lying. Because y'all do not hate Jericho like y'all say y'all do.
You're extra tuned in.
Y'all are locked in. Y'all are so seated. Y'all are so seated to the point to where y'all turn in just for your shit. Because these numbers are crazy. And I try not to be a big ratings person because I think that the way that ratings are like, done in like households and cable, it's all very, geriatric at this point. But the quarter hours, the breakdown and the demos are very interesting. It shows you what's performing well and what's not, at least on a consistent basis. I wouldn't do it like week to week, but if you study over a month or a couple months, I think that it tells a really much bigger story. And the only person really doing higher segments regularly than Jericho is Swerve. And my thing is, how the fuck is he the second highest performing segment of because my thing is, when we get on this show and we spew hate and we get on our personal platforms and we spew hate, and you all say like, yeah, I'm a hater too. Clearly
you're not.
It's becoming more apparent to us that we're not equals.
I'm gonna do a training. All right.
Hater training.
I'm gonna do a hater training. All right.
Also, the MJF promo will be up. Like, it's gonna do numbers. I mean, the opening segment with the lead in, what is it, Big Bang Theory? It's going to do numbers regardless.
And look, he is an attraction.
He is an attraction.
You're at least interested what he has to say. But again, my other thing, and this goes into like a greater point, and we are kind of talking about the show like out of sequence, but like whatever, the whole thing felt out of sequence to me. Felt very disjointed. This did not feel like it had anything to do with Forbidden Door most of the time.
No, the only thing that did feel like it had anything to do with the Forbidden Door was the women. And it was the only clear connection to and the BCC CMLL that too.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll give y'all that. And that match was great.
It was great.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it. Welcome back, Wheeler Yuta. We missed you, and you getting the pin just like we practiced. Yeah, so it definitely felt great to see him back. But absolutely. A lot of this show, whether it was the backstage promos, whether it was the in-ring stuff, like it didn't even feel like we were setting up for Forbidden Door. If we were setting shit up, it didn't feel like it was for the pay-per-view, which is like, okay, but also knowing that we have this limited amount of time, and this is supposed to be a pay-per-view that is a collaboration between a bunch of different promotions, right? We're not even really introducing people who could be opponents in a lot of these things. Because like I said, you look top to bottom at the roster and you start trying to fantasy book, but we ain't seen nobody for real.
And you've already booked the two top guys against each other.
Which I'm
not as mad about it anymore because I think I know where they're going with this. Now.
No, then you go ahead. You go ahead and tell me because I'm real mad.
I think where they're going with this, I think Ospreay is going to wrestle twice at Forbidden Door, and he's going to go into his second match with an injury. So he loses and is protected. but it's a reason for him to not be in the Owen Hart Cup, which allows the winner to go on and do their thing versus Swerve in the event.
I think so too. I also
think did this have to happen at Forbidden Door?
That's stupid because you had this time. This is Forbidden Door, bro. You have quite literally like all the talent in the world. Somebody for Swerve to fight. It does not. You don't have to do that now. You don't have to do Swerve Ospreay now.
I think that they gave into a lot of the discourse, though. I think, like, and we've talked about the Ospreay problem, and I think that I feel like putting the international title on him was enough to keep them separate. I think
it absolutely was, or at least to fucking try it, because before he even had his first title defense, they were like,
they didn't even. I mean, they didn't even try.
Still that little British bitch back out there.
But I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I think that like I've been having to like think about it some more of just. I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be a fantastic match, actually. And I think it's going to be, I think it has a lot of potential. And I just think this is a roundabout way. I think personally, I would have much rather seen Swerve wrestle somebody from New Japan or CMLL.
And I would prefer, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Same thing for Ospreay. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, especially for Ospreay, because that's the whole fucking point of the belt. That's the whole
international title, bro. You have the international title, and I think that my thoughts on this. I have so many, but the main points are kind of twofold. One, in that yes, like now you have the two top guys in your company fighting each other, and this doesn't mean anything. There is no. You have the two top guys and the potential for a long-term storyline. And the first match that we're getting between them is just because it's just happening because. It's a rush timeline without a significant story. And in a spot that makes absolutely no sense. Because now you have all of this, I would say confusion, because you can follow it if you pay attention. But you have people in line to contend for Ospreay's championship. Ospreay in line to contend for somebody else's championship. He hasn't even held his own international title, through a pay-per-view cycle. That,
you have people like literally jumping between title pictures. Kyle O'Reilly was in the international championship picture last week, and now he's in the TNT title picture. Like, don't get me wrong. I want, by all means, put a belt on Kyle O'Reilly. All of your titles
are all tied up.
It's all tied up, but like
all of your titles are all tied up in a way that makes no sense. And
let's just be real.
I think
when we talk about oh, sorry. I'm good.
No, you got it.
I've been getting so riled up. I'm sorry. I've really riled up.
That's true.
Truly, when I think of AEW New Japan Forbidden Door, at least on the men's side, the first thing that comes in my mind is, what is Okada doing? Like, in my opinion, this is the truly respect to all of y'all. But if we want to talk about the most important character, the person who should be the most important character to find out what the fuck that they're doing at Forbidden Door, especially knowing that they left without wrestling or even not even wrestling, let alone putting over any of the young guys, what is Okada doing? That's my question. And I don't think he was there tonight. And I understand,
but
like,
the problem,
it's a little tricky right now because I think everybody is getting ready for Dominion. Maybe we'll see more next week. Maybe we'll know more next week after Dominion. And I do think that some things they're waiting after Dominion to set a lot of things, because I think obviously we're going to probably have some title changes, obviously some big matches. So I do think from the New Japan side, they're waiting until after Dominion. However, the men's side of the Forbidden Door booking so far has been a bit baffling. And I think also, like, it goes into a problem of the Ospreay problem. And like I've said, Will Ospreay has proven that he's the best pound-for-pound wrestler in the world. That is not up for debate. He has not yet been able to prove that he can carry a feud in AEW. And he's not going to have that opportunity anytime soon. Ospreay versus Takeshita was a great match. Ospreay versus Danielson was a great match. Ospreay versus Strong was a great match. Ospreay versus O'Reilly was a great match. These are great matches. Ospreay versus Swerve will be a great match. But we're talking about he needs a rival. Just like when you talk about how Swerve needs a rival, Ospreay needs a rival. But their rivals clearly can't be each other because they're clearly going to split off again after Forbidden Door. So it's like,
but that's what I was saying. That's where my frustration comes in, because I'm like, my biggest frustration is like, they can be each other's rivals, but it can't be now. It can't be now. No. It makes no sense. And so we're talking about, this issue that both of you have, and you can be, the answer to this. We can fit this puzzle together. Forbidden Door is not the time or place to do that. And I think that it's just, when you look at this card and the way that it's being set up thus far, that there seems to be a lack of direction for most people in AEW, not just at Forbidden Door, but kind of beyond, because we're seeing things that are happening on our week-to-week television that have nothing to do with the feuds that are going to translate to Forbidden Door. We're seeing things that are, so it's like, okay, so we are doing things, but they're just not relevant. They're just not relevant. I think we talk about, okay, what's Okada going to do? If you bitches don't go get Zack Sabre Jr., I'm going to beat the brakes off you.
Oh, I mean, I think he's going to come back. We're just not going to see him until at least next week. Yeah.
I know, I know, yeah. But it's just like, okay, we're going to sit here and we're going to say that we're really committing to the Forbidden Door build. The product now feels disjointed. It feels like sort of like half and half. Like half we've dedicated to just like our week-to-week TV, and the other half is for like Forbidden Door build. And
who are committed to Forbidden Door are the BCC and the women. That's it. Blackpool Combat Club and the women in TBS title picture. That's it. Like, that's it. Especially with Swerve and Ospreay facing each other. Like, literally, the only acts currently dedicated to the actual, and I mean, possibly if you want to squint, maybe the Elite, when you think about the fact of how they showed up at Resurgence and, like attacked Eddie and everything. So maybe that eventually comes back somehow in Forbidden Door with Jack Perry, coming off Excursion. That maybe if you squint, but that's it. Like, that's it so far. There's potential, obviously, for more, but I think, like, the thing is, the Forbidden Door build is very short, guys. Between Double or Nothing and Forbidden Door is 4 weeks. 4. We have what? After this, we have what? 2.5 weeks left? 2.5 weeks left. Women, great. I never thought we would ever reach a time when I'm looking at an AEW pay-per-view and I'm like, damn, the women are beating the men's ass right now. Like, better builds, better angles, but that's where we are. At least for this show. Like, by a landslide. Easily.
Where we are.
That's easily. But I would like to say, I just want to skim through everything else. Shout out to Ray Phoenix I think that the International Championship match next week is going to be incredible. He's been fantastic since returning from injury, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely fantastic.
Ray Phoenix versus Ospreay is gonna feed families.
It's going to be amazing. Shout out to Mark Briscoe for making it to the TNT title ladder match. I'm not gonna lie, I'm becoming more and more excited for that match. I would honestly like to see who's going to join it from the international side. And honestly, I believe that they should do a qualifier match. I think they should do a qualifier match at Dominion for the New Japan guys. But that's just me to get into the match. Are you about to say, why is Mark Briscoe in that match when he's Ring of Honor World Champion? Oh,
no, which is a good point. But I think I thought Brian Cage won that match.
No, he didn't. No.
I don't think so. I don't think you saying it sounds more right, but I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, I think I was that. No. Mark Briscoe won. I was like, I think I'm that tuned out because I fully was like, Well, good for him. This episode of Dynamite messed me up, man.
Bro, I'm talking about it messed me up bad.
I'm not myself no more.
Like, truly, I use on Wednesdays. I think that's why I'm so pissed. Like, on Wednesdays, truly, Dynamite helps me decompress after a long day. It's typically like where I relax. And as you could see throughout this episode, I'm not relaxed. I'm not relaxed at all.
Do you guys remember when we could like turn on our TVs? And I was thinking about this earlier, and Kenny Omega would just like wrestle.
I think about people.
Wednesday.
No, somebody said, "Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I'm about to start talking shit again, but I don't care."
Okay.
Somebody, like, you can see like the whole aura of the AEW product change when Max is back. I mean, for the worst, yeah. You want to talk about real aura when somebody come back? When my goat came back in that suit with his glasses and his ponytail, and he made the world learn the name of diverticulitis on spot. And he hit that Snapdragon, and
I'm actually a doctor now.
And the abs were still there, brother. They were still there. This bitch was waiting on his surgery, taking bumps. You want to talk about aura? He stared in Kazuchika Okada's eyes and said, "Give me a couple months." Like, y'all know aura. Was beating your faves, making history, making classics with vertigo. All sorts of injuries. One of his greatest matches, he had a black eye 10 minutes in. Y'all big matches looking like that.
Y'all not him.
I just want to say, because everything, it always comes back to Kenny Omega.
I was going to say, one thing about us, week in, week out, we gonna talk about Kenny Omega.
You want to talk about big match wrestlers, and I'm going to be honest, Kenny has classics, and he looked like he had classics. Does anybody remember how Kenny Omega looked after the Tokyo Dome last year? Crazy. You want to know how Will Ospreay looked after the Tokyo Dome last year? Crazy. Well, we scrap over here.
Talk about we like I'm in it.
We scrap now. When it comes to getting, I am in it. Now what?
Now what? He do have backup.
I would like to say, shout out to the Elite. That backstage promo with Christian, fantastic.
I love
Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, you continue to be the best of this company. Okay, I just want you to know that.
Now get in the ring. Go ahead and strap them boots up for me.
Get in the booth. 100%. Shibata and Daniel Garcia are waiting for you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. But I just wanted to say that really quickly. You want to talk about changing the energy? Kenny Omega's presence on one Dynamite made me like so pro AEW for like 3 weeks after that.
You know what it feels like? You know what it feels like? When Kenny Omega is on Dynamite, even for half a second, it feels like even when you're not rocking with some, you know what it is? It's like I'm not a patriotic person. During the Olympics? Wave that shit, bro. Kenny Omega came back for half a second. I said,
yeah. Listen, Kenny Omega pulls up on TV, and then suddenly I become Canadian. Suddenly, I want to take a bath and make
Canada. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kenny Omega. The gold I called my own.
Look, y'all. This episode of Dynamite wasn't very good. So we're going to talk about the things that make us happy. And that will always be Kenny Omega. I hope you had a great day today, sir.
Kenny Omega, Konosuke Takeshita, Hangman Adam Page. I hope you're having a fantastic day.
That's who it is. That's who we ride for over here, in case it wasn't clear by our everything about us.
Absolutely. But yeah, what else happened?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna. I'm trying to think of anything else on the card. We talked a little bit about Blackpool Combat Club versus CMLL, but that was really good, and I'm just really glad this exists. I'm thankful for the Blackpool Combat Club, and I think their job this year in AEW from the very beginning was really cultivating and protecting these international relationships. And I don't think people understand how hard that is, and I don't think people understand how important that is sometimes. And what they do just doesn't go unnoticed. Claudio's been fantastic this year. Bryan Danielson, I think, is wrestler of the year. Jon Moxley is doing shit that nobody's ever done before. And Wheeler Yuta, I'm just so glad that you're back, brother.
And you know what it is with the BCC though? Like, I was gonna say, you know what it is with the BCC that I feel like is really the key to seeing these great matches with these CMLL stars is consistency. And we talk about, you know, people that are regularly there and regularly going to put on a good match, and that is every single member of the BCC. So when you have people step in that your audience may not necessarily be familiar with, it's like, okay, but I know that you have to be pretty good because they think that you're on par with Jon Moxley, you know, to even be stepping out here. They think that you're on par with Bryan Danielson.
They validate their opponents. They validate
exactly.
Yeah. And I think another thing too is that, how do I say this? I think this just goes back to, I hate this to be the shit on Mac show, but it just goes back to this. Look, just when the biggest wrestlers in the world are not too good to go everywhere and do everything, like I don't want to hear from you. Like if you don't want to go, that's fine. I don't think anybody wants you to go. That's fine too. But Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and Claudio Castagnoli, they're flying to Mexico in Arena, Mexico. Jon Moxley probably hopped straight out of Dynamite and got straight on the flight to Japan, to Osaka for Dominion this weekend. Like these people are not just validating the international talent when they come on their show. They're going out. They are actually truly fostering these partnerships, whether they have to go to Mexico, whether they have to go to Japan, whether they have to do it in the US. It's the real dedication to wrestling as a sense of it's not all about world championships. Some things in wrestling are genuinely about collaboration, cooperation, and growing the game. And I think that truly now more than ever, and as we've seen with Discourse in a couple weeks, I truly believe that this year, 2024, will be consequential in the growth of wrestling for at least the next 10. Because there's clearly like, I feel like so many things have been dumbed down recently as far as attention spans, match length, over like promo times of like, we are quickly falling into a generation of wrestling fans who don't value the actual wrestling part. And I think that it's important for the BCC to be one of those ambassadors for the just wrestling itself. And I feel like a lot of wrestlers sometimes are ambassadors for themselves, which you're supposed to do. Like, I absolutely. But I think that for wrestling itself to be sustained and not be like the wrestling part to not be a sideshow, we need relationships like this, in my opinion.
And you know, I won't disagree with you, but I don't think that I would go that far, because I do think that there is a certain piece that is just like of individual interests and individual desires, and whether those are like personal, whatever. And I think every single member of the BCC, maybe Will Yuta aside because he's a little bit younger, but thinking of Claudio, thinking of Danielson, thinking of Mox, right? Talk about locker room leaders. You know, that is sort of that additional responsibility that they take on. I'm not asking everyone in AEW to take on that additional responsibility.
And everybody shouldn't. I don't want to see
everybody shouldn't. You know, so no. I think like my thing with MJF, because I don't dislike him. I actually really enjoy a lot, if not most, of his work. I think though where we sometimes lose the plot is, like we said, in things like you haven't been there to consistently put over other talent. Now you've been gone, you've been injured, that's fine. In your first promo back, putting down anyone that you might potentially face, again, that's cool if they work here. It's not cool if they don't. And I think particularly at a time right now, and we spoke about it a little bit, but like sort of setting CMLL aside, thinking about New Japan, right? I think all of us wrestling fans who watch AEW and New Japan can kind of look at it and say, all right, New Japan is not at its best right now. It's a little scarce, you know, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's still New Japan. So with that being said, like, if you want this partnership to be successful, you know that you're probably going to have to hype it a little bit more, even probably have to go a little bit above and beyond to put those partnerships over, to put these matches over. Because the reality is to feel equal, because the reality is you don't necessarily have a whole lot.
Wait, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechicero.
Sorry, everybody. But that comment threw us off, but made my day. But yeah, just sort of that general understanding, like, okay, like you're gonna have to help New Japan out a little bit throughout this pay-per-view cycle. And I don't feel like AEW is doing that right now.
Absolutely. And I think next week will be a better teller, just because we'll see probably more New Japan guys. But
yeah,
Max just bro, I would have rather you not mention New Japan, not New Japan, but Forbidden Door at all. You don't have to talk about it. Like, if you want to just have your first
I wish you would have literally just come back out here and been like, I have unfinished business with Adam Cole and the Undisputed whatever, because we didn't need the 20-minute talking segment on the actual pay-per-view. You could have done that today. 20 minutes, but it would have made more sense. And even if you're saying I'm gonna get back to it, like, again, like I said, this episode was a lot of people saying shit without planting any seeds for anything else.
I also think that he has no intention of really going back to that feud. Like, I don't think that he has really intention. I think he's like, okay,
either.
And I think it's one of those things that partially is just like, no, I don't want to see it again. But who else gets that luxury? Like, I mean, who else gets that luxury of completely bombing the second half of what ended up being the longest world title reign in history, refusing to pivot, ended up winning a set of tag titles that never got defended in the actual promotion that they were for. Like, just constantly taking. It doesn't work out, and you get to just start over from scratch. Like, who else gets that type of privilege and luxury to just not be like, well, yes, correct. I just, you know what? Let's just move on to the women. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
After the original, okay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, first Willow was
yes,
back.
that's what I was gonna say.
So go for it.
So after the international title #1 contenders match, because Orange Cassidy was in that match, Trent shows up, about to the title. Bro, then Chris Statlander come out there. Listen, Chris Statlander is evil, but I support her rights and I support her wrongs. That is a woman. Do you hear me? Like, y'all, that is crazy. More than a woman, actually. My fault. That is like Chris Statlander. Goddamn. Also, when she's treating the way that she did Orange Cassidy, I literally almost cried. I said, no, say it ain't so. And also, I'm going to say this too. A lot of people have been speaking greasy recently. Why was Orange and Trent on the Double or Nothing card and all this, blah, blah, blah. I think that is great that the AEW roster has expanded and gotten so many new faces, etc. But let's not get brand new. Let's not forget who built this shit. Seriously, if we're doing this is the 6th Double or Nothing, the 5th year anniversary of AEW. If no other match made it to the Double or Nothing card, Orange versus Trent should have made it on that card. And I would be honest, like
but I agree. But we shouldn't have done it on Dynamite beforehand.
I agree too. I think that they should have saved it, done a full stip match at Double or Nothing. 100% agree. But if nobody else belonged on that Double or Nothing card, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta belong on that card. And I would also like to say I watched the close-up with Renee and Chuck Taylor. It made me very emotional. And I think that people, just because they never won a title or anything, people drastically underestimate how popular Best Friends really is. Best Friends has fans. And that's the reason why, if you look on Shop AEW and their merch and stuff, if nobody else has merch for everything, when sticker packs come out, when all these different things come out, when the little figurines come out, you want to know who always has one? Best Friends. Because their stuff sells. People love them. Like, people love them whether they get the most TV time or not, and that has sustained them.
And have that has sustained for years.
For years.
And have for years.
For years. And so, like,
I think that I love everything about this setup. I love the Willow OC interactions. I top to bottom, it feels like it makes the most sense for everybody to be involved in right now. It's gonna absolutely slap. It's gonna slap.
I'm glad that I called the tag match in advance. We're going to see Trent and Chris versus OC and Willow, and it's going to be beautiful. Also, Willow Nightingale with your bundles. I thought you couldn't get any cuter, but
yes, come on, Inches.
You guys, oh my, like Willow is also one of the most
Inches, and that shit was laid.
It sure was. And also, I would also like to say, the House of the Dragon premiere, everybody looked great. I'm just did you see the pictures of Swerve, Nana, and Willow? Willow's mom. Willow brought her mom on the red carpet. I love it. Like, genuinely, I just love this turn of events. I think that these are very marketable faces, and I think that Willow especially has such face of the company material. Like, she has such great potential, and I'm just really happy. I'm just really happy for her. She looks great. She has become one of the most reliable promos in AEW. And the best babyface promo in the company, I would say. This is going to be good. And I think pairing her with Orange Cassidy, it might give him a little boost. I don't know. It might give him a little boost. Hey, listen, everybody who's with team. Yeah. Stokely Hathaway, your baldness. Truly, I will say, I walked away from tonight, though, seriously.
All ass nigga.
On a positive note, truly, these black managers, and Prince Nana and Stokely Hathaway are just fantastic. Like, truly, and when we get to the end of the year, I will be fighting over these manager of the year, because I think one of them deserve it. And I think that they've been absolutely outstanding, and they continue to level up their game. And I think that that's just something important to point out. Just fantastic. Like, this pairing of Stokely and Chris works beautifully, just like Nana and Swerve works beautifully. Like, I mean, you got the elders in the front row closing Dynamite, doing a little dance. I mean,
but it's okay, guys. Like, right after our hater training, there will also be a dance camp. Okay.
Yes.
So it's gonna be like a full day event. I charge by the hour, but it's fine.
Might merge it together and do a little hater dance, you know. So it's AEW has a new personality. They just hired Alicia Tout. She confirmed on her Twitter. She's actually worked with AEW. Well, yes, they do. She's actually worked with AEW before in the early days, so she worked with them before. So I think this is like a new role for her.
Welcome back.
Yeah, she's MJF's girlfriend, but like she's been in the business for a long time though. So, I mean, congrats to her. But moving on with the women, Mercedes, follow the money. Listen, this QR code, y'all can say whatever you want. I don't care if you say she's still blah, 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 blah. I clicked it. I did it.
I missed it.
I did it. I'll send it to you. You can follow the money and register too. I guess she's giving out money prizes, and then we're going into a drawing to be able to meet her. Yeah, I did it. And then nobody's going to shame me for it. And I'll do it again.
Absolutely not. I have posted my Rob list online. I ain't got no No fucking shame. I got Tony Khan blocked on my main account, but on Black Girl Wrestling, every tweet, everybody's like, "Oh, can you book this? Can you book that?" I'm like, "Can you pay my
tweets about your student loans today? Crazy." Like when you responded to the
private party and they said no. He offered it to private party and they said no. Let me have it.
You responded to the Forbidden Door women's match graphic saying, "So can you pay my student loans now?" I said, "Oh, Dani. Dani. Please."
The shooters not shoot?
Correct. But yes, that video package, I loved it. I loved the talking about Mercedes's, love for Japanese wrestling. I loved them going through her New Japan career, talking about her unfinished business, talking about why the New Japan Strong title was created, why it's important to her, and why Stephanie Vaquer is that bitch. I just couldn't ask for much more.
So cool. I'm so scared of her. That match, that's the match that I'm most excited. Look, you look at the card that they're putting together. Like so we sit up here and we bitch and moan about whether or not some things make sense and whether like this, that, and the third. The end of the pay-per-view is gonna slap because that's what AEW do. They put on good shows, damn it.
And also too, I will say,
Stephanie
guys,
versus Mercedes.
This might be the greatest I think this is going to be the greatest Forbidden Door of all time. I do think so. And I do think a lot of that is because of we can finally really do something with women. Like we can really do something. And I will be honest, like not trying to give Tony a pass or anything, but like you can't really do Forbidden Door if you don't have any doors open with other companies. And we didn't have that in the past for the women, but now the doors are wide open.
But guess what, bitch? Open up. Ding dong.
When Jay Uso said, when we go open the door. Yeah. I think, but then we moved on. We had Mariah May versus, it's not even just about Tony wanting his talent to look good. I think the thing is Mercedes should win. Respectfully, I don't know what else to say. Stephanie Vaquer has really beaten everybody who was supposed to be beaten in her reign. Like she pinned Julia, and Julia don't take pins like that. Like there's really nobody left. And I'm not gonna lie, we have never seen a woman truly go on a real belt collector era, and I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see it, and I think Mercedes is the perfect person for it. Like I said, I got two goats in this world, and Mercedes Moné and Kenny Omega. Kenny's already done it. I need Mercedes to tap into. That's what I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't give a fuck about that discourse. Talk about some, they're just making New Japan talent job. First of all, Stephanie Vaquer don't even work for New Japan. But second of all, like putting shoulders to the mat. That's what big stars do. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
big stars.
I was gonna say
she's the greatest of all time. A match that she had at 23 inspired half of our favorite women's wrestlers today to even wrestle. Like that's the shit that you get to do. If Kenny Omega jumped back into New Japan right now, he can win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in his first match back. You want to know why? Because he's Kenny fucking Omega. That's why a lot of people
talk like that. Mercedes is like that.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about being the best, the GOAT, but the real GOATs, they get to walk into different promotions and take their world title. And you want to know why? It's because they know that a belt on these people is going to elevate them so many places over and beyond. And she deserves it. She owns it. I want Mercedes to have everything. I want her to have every title in existence. And I think that her and Riho should just split them all down the middle. They should just share them. All the titles in the company.
And if it were up to me, y'all would hate my booking, because if it were up to me, we would do them at the same time. I would have both of them go on reigns of terror. Mercedes, every belt that she can get her hands on.
Then let's create women's tag titles and put them on everybody too. Then let's make mixed tag titles and let's let Riho and Kenny Omega just go. Let's just do it. And let's let them wrestle Kenny Okada.
If it were up to me, wrestling would be so simple.
So simple.
So simple.
I got a roster of 10 killers. 10 killers.
That's it. You know what? We should do like a mock draft one of these days.
Oh my gosh, I think we should do that. We should do that.
That would be so fun.
We should do that after All In. Because I think, like, you know, I feel like it's almost like the booking is going to reset almost after that, or maybe after All Out. Yeah, so the end of the season, you know, we should do that after.
Yeah. So guys, stay tuned for the official AEW draft, brought to you by DraftKings.
Ding. But yes, I want Mercedes to win everything, and she deserves everything, and she deserves this belt collector arc. And I'm not gonna lie, I love seeing her treated like the biggest thing in the world, because for me, she's always been that. Like, I wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for Mercedes. Anything that I do, I don't think I would be doing for Mercedes. Like, her going to Japan, I've said this before, it opened doors. It opened doors for Black women like us to be able to talk about content like this, like, into new different spaces in wrestling where there weren't people like us before. Just her mere existence changed the world of just, I want her to have it all. Put a TMLL belt on her, put another AEW belt on her, put another New Japan belt on her, put all the belts on her.
And one thing about me, I'm a ride for the Black girls. I don't care. Period. I don't care.
Real.
She should win everything all the time. And what about it? Huh?
And what? Huh? And the only person she should lose to is Willow. Now what? Now what?
Who gonna check
me? If I say that,
who gonna check me? Jump me about it. But yeah. So the other women's match that we've gotten announced.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Dynamite match. Yeah. So we had Mariah May versus Saraya tonight.
We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I just want to say the ending. So Mariah fucking loses. I understand why. I don't like it. I will say this match wasn't as embarrassing as I bet on.
No, but I also feel like this show as a whole, I think actually that they were done well by the fact that this match did not happen last week, because last week's Dynamite was good and this week's Dynamite was not so good, and so it fit fine. It didn't stick out. I think last week it would have stuck out in a negative way.
Oh, 100%. Especially with Mercedes on the card, they would have looked crazy. They would have looked crazy out there.
So I'm like,
crazy.
And I think the principle remains, like, you cannot just cut women's matches because you don't have time for them. Ultimately, though, I think it worked in their favor in having this match go on tonight and having it be, cool, like whatever. Mariah May is a real fucking hooper, bro. She wrestles her and a half.
Hard. To the point to where she reminds me a lot of Jamie in the sense of the style that she wrestles. She wrestles really hard to the point where she needs to start protecting herself. Like, because like when I saw her, when she went for that missile drop kick, her head bounced off of the mat. Like, I said, oh, she's wrestling hard. Like, Saraya was shook.
All right.
Like, Saraya was shook. Like, this motherfucker hits. Like, Mariah May is the real deal.
Girl.
Mariah May is the real deal.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna how do I say this? Carefully is how I say it, right? I'm well aware of the Mina Toni Storm dynamic. Not Toni Storm. I guess kind of, but Mariah May, all that involvement, like whatever. It has gotten to be, the sexualization aspect of it has gotten to be a bit much for me in the past few weeks in particular. And I think that my breaking point, quote unquote, or the straw that broke the camel's back is really just when that's the only time that we're seeing women live on TV.
That's fair.
Especially on a roster this stacked, when that's the only time that we're seeing women and the only time that we're seeing women get good time live in front of the audiences. And it's one thing for we have wrestlers and women taking ownership and like pride in themselves and in their bodies and like what they want to do and progressing storylines. Like that's cool. Like that, yeah, 100%. But also now you have commentators joining in on it and commenting on this, that, or third. And I think that sometimes we've gotten so progressive that we're actually a little bit regressive, if that makes sense. Okay, you're looking at it, and I think especially in particular, knowing that AEW, we talked about the issues of the AEW women's division, and we have for years, since the inception of the company, and the struggles that it has had to get TV time, to feel on par with the men, to, you know, this, that, or third, all these different top to bottom issues that exist within the women's division. And what was the issue? What has historically been the issue for women in this industry? Remains that if they were on TV, it was in a hypersexualized sense, or they were being, you know, incredibly underutilized in reference to their talent. Now, where I think AEW stands right now is that they are absolutely maximizing the talent aspect, but I think you still have that current in a different way, if that makes sense. Like I said, we've gotten so progressive to the point of being a little bit regressive, and that's concerning to me as a wrestling fan, but also as a woman, you know, because at the end of the day, right, like it's hard. It's this balance because individual performers and their individual storylines, like it you don't want that to end up having all of this additional weight of this, that, and a third. Like it should just be able to exist as its own storyline, and we should just be able to end the conversation there. Unfortunately, given the past issues of the industry itself and of this division in particular, it's heavier than that, at least in my opinion.
I agree to an extent, and I think that part of it is I do agree that if the sexualization, I do think about it, especially if we had limited all of this to just Tony, Mina, Mariah, I don't think we would be having this conversation right now. But if we think about the last couple of weeks, like we got them going around kissing Saraya, Harley Cameron, etc., people who don't really got shit to do with any of this, to the point to where it just feels like, okay, we just doing shit, right? If the story, when we first started, like it was very clear, this is a Tony, Mina, Mariah story. And so I think when it's just them, I don't really, I guess, think about it too much, because at the end of the day, I know for the specific, and I think anybody who's been paying attention or even like just reading or things like that, this Tony, Mariah story, etc., they are very hands-on with it. They are very hands-on with it. They have a lot of creative control in it. And I think also, like, especially Mariah. Mariah's a very interesting character because, like, being super sexual is kind of her thing. Like, she is kind of the bridge between the people who love Joshi wrestling, that hard-hitting style, in the Divas era. She appeals to both of them. And I feel like she is kind of stuck in a spot to where she's kind of split between the two. And I think that what we're seeing is, go ahead.
I was just gonna say yes, and I am all for it. I really do. I love Mariah's presentation. I love, you know, everything about it. I think, again, though, like I said, when that is the only thing that you're seeing, 100%. And like you said, as it seems to expand, and now it's not just, you know, you're seeing it. It seems like it's with most of the stuff that they do. So it'll be, and Toni Storm in particular, you know, whether it's in her commentary, whether it's in her matches, it's started to expand and to expand. It's become a much bigger part, I would say, of the women's division, that I'm not particularly a fan of. Like I said, I understand it and I get it, and I know that, and it makes sense, like you said, for Mina, Tony, and Mariah. That makes sense. It's expanding, and it's starting to get to be the only live TV time, which is an issue for me.
It's expanding too, because why the fuck are Saraya and Harley Cameron here? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be rude or anything, but like, we are talking about the AEW Women's World Championship. Like, this should feel like real shooters only. And I think Tony released a statement earlier today basically saying that The timetable is still tricky on on not Britt Baker, but on Jamie Hayter and whatever. So I think like, bro, she's more fucked up than we thought. God damn it. We might not be like, bro, what? And it just feels like we're running out of people. Athena's injured right now. Currently, they said she'll be back soon. She'll be back for like Death Before Dishonor. But it's just like, whoa there. Like we've talked about this before. I think that Tony Mina is fantastic. I think it's a fantastic story. But guess what? Mina Shirakawa can't be here every day because this isn't her actual job. At least not yet. It's this in between. That's the problem. And the in between matters. Like it matters. And like, Swerve has been able to, as a world champion, guess what? In his off cycles and pay-per-view feud, he gotten to wrestle? He's gotten to wrestle Claudio. He's gotten to wrestle, who's tonight, right? Roderick Strong. Actual legitimate guys, right?
In a great match.
Tony in that in between. There's nobody except for Izumi, and she doesn't work here either.
And that's another point that I wanted to make in relation to that, which is like, it seems as though, it seems as though when she doesn't have anything else to do, it will become a hypersexualized bit. In between parts, in those week to weeks where there's not a whole lot going on, how do you stay, relevant, up to date, like whatever. And it's through that. And so I think that contributes to it as well, where it feels even more so when we bring it back to the Mariah and Mina storyline. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, right, like, to start being something that's on people's mind and that we're a little bit just conscious of. Not saying that anything needs to change as of yet or anything needs to, whatever. Not taking a stance as that, oh, this is wrong. It's just like, okay, but we do need to be careful when this is the only time that women are getting in front of our audiences.
And hey, part of it, maybe they're playing it up, hey, happy Pride, shit. And also, happy Pride, everybody. Happy Pride. I hope it's a fun month. But yeah, it's one of those things that, well, we'll see. But I do love the build. Like, I do love the actual Tony, Mina, Mariah build. Everything else, but I do like being able to see them all on screen together today, and like the back and forth that was pretty cool. And I'm genuinely. Absolutely. And I'm genuinely a fan of all three of these people. Like, I like a big fan of all three of these people. And like being able to say that I followed their careers from so many different points, whether it's Stardom, whether it's, like Tony in WWE, or even like, Mariah, like, and Mina, like, I am genuinely invested in all three of these women, and I'm really proud of them. So yeah, I overall, shout out to Mina Shirakawa match on Rampage. I can't wait to see that versus, Serena Deeb. And that was the only match that they announced on Rampage, which made it feel like she was a really big deal, because she is a big deal. Oh,
it's like one of those things that holds your hair back while you do your makeup. But the problem is I'm black and I have edges. So, you've never seen these?
No. I thought it was just Olympian.
No, and it's like, and so what's it called? Also, when you like wash your face and you get the water like right here. Sorry, you were talking.
No, that was fantastic. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. But yeah,
I was gonna talk about just really quick, Roddy and Swerve. Y'all be acting like. I'm just really disappointed in Roderick Strong's international title reign, because he can fucking ball, bro. He can ball.
And they should have also, I would like to say, I went back and I watched the match from Deadlock Pro that he had versus Fuminori Abe. Wow. That should have been a sanctioned AEW international title match. Absolutely fucking incredible. Like, just absolutely incredible. If they ever do an All-Star Junior Fest in the US again, both of those guys need to be in it. Roderick Strong. Seriously, like I'm not gonna lie. At AEW, I know people say that there's too many titles, and that might be true. But I genuinely think that we could find a lot for some of these guys to do if we had some type of cruiserweight / junior heavyweight title. I think that there's a lot of the super small guys that there's not a lot for them to do. And then I think it's a lot of the super big guys that there's not a lot for them to do. So between Meat Madness and maybe a cruiserweight, even like a tournament, I don't know. But like if you think about it, a cruiserweight division, you can put Roddy in there, you can put Darby in there, you can put Dante in there, you can put who else? Isaiah Cassidy in there, Yuta in there.
I don't think I'm in favor of that because I like the possibility that any of those matches could be the big time matches instead of a cruiserweight title belt match. You know, I think that's why. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that's one of the things that makes AEW unique is that those top stars or people with potential to be top stars, you believe that that can actually happen. And I think that a lot of times in cruiserweight divisions, it sort of feels like you've been relegated to there, and it's hard to. I don't know how people can take me seriously.
You are correct. Like, you are correct, and I think that's also very much so like a WWE thing. And I think that
true.
Hey, I'm not saying. Here's the thing: AEW could really fuck this up. Like I do want to be honest about that. They could really fuck this up, and not in a good way. But I think that they also, especially with the relationships with New Japan, they could also, and CMLL, they could also really succeed in this way of really. And I said this because I went to All Star Junior Fest last year, and it was in where was it? It was in Philadelphia, and New Japan had it, and there were juniors from all over the world, and I was so inspired because I feel like junior heavyweight wrestling, particularly in America, should be completely reimagined. There is a way for this to feel so big, so powerful. Like think about, and you know, that's what I even tell people about like New Japan. People always talk about, well, we need to get to the golden era back of New Japan where they were in like the mid 2010s. And that's fair. But guess what? What did New Japan have back then? In addition to amazing top guy heavyweights, their junior heavyweight division was beautiful, fantastic, must see.
With the realistic and probable possibility that you could also one day, you know, be competing for the top level titles. And so I think that, yeah, I think it would depend a lot. I'm not in favor of
Rocky Romero will have to be in charge. If we did this, I think Rocky Romero should be in charge. Listen, he put All Star Junior Fest together. Like I said, this has potential to go completely wrong. I admit that. Like
I think I would take the Continental Classic and make it something like that.
And here's the thing, I don't, like I said, I think it could be a tournament first. I don't think you have to immediately create a title. I think you can do a tournament for like a cup or something, see how it goes. Then, hey, if it's a big hit, you add stakes, you know, you add a title or something. Like, I think that it's something worth testing at least because there's just so many great like guys. I think that, you know, are flying. I think that Roddy could genuinely be like the linchpin, like truly the linchpin, like the golden goose of that division. To get
you ever thought about where that word comes from?
It comes from like a grenade, right?
I don't know. I realized when I asked that it sounded a little bit, you know, whatever.
So you know, like when people have grenades and they're like they pull the little pin out and then they throw it. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
This is. I'm all over the place now, but I just wanted to share two things, right? One, I'm gonna start adding to my outro for this show a nail reveal. So everybody look at the nails.
Oh, that's a
and my other thing,
gold or is that green? I can't see. Is gold.
It's gold and green. You see?
Okay.
So I'm gonna start doing that so everybody can look forward to it. But also want to say that has nothing to do with wrestling. I was gonna full on, guys. Sometimes me and Lyric stay on here after this and talk about other things. I was gonna tell you about a dream that I had, and then I was like, that is not
I had a dream last night.
Sorry, guys, it's really late. I'm the sleepiest girl in the whole city.
Yeah, I'm
Roderick Strong, Roderick Strong and Swerve Strickland banged. I've already aired
also,
out
Swerve,
all my issues.
I want to know who made that grill. I ain't never seen nothing like that before. Like, he got did you see?
I've never seen nothing like that. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter earlier this week.
I sound really southern.
I said, wow.
Also, speaking of Twitter,
should have gone. Swerve and Osprey finna come to Forbidden Door with the veneers.
He shouldn't. He doesn't have to fix his.
That's what they're saying.
He has a beautiful smile. That's when that smile gets him a Nando's endorsement. Y'all better not say nothing, okay?
Yeah. No. Osprey, we love you, of course.
I think too of the about Osprey and Swerve. I love that they did a photo shoot. Listen, I think we need to bring back pre-match photo shoots. I love pre-match photo shoots. I know that everybody's so obsessed with graphics now. I love a good graphic too. Like the Forbidden Door graphic, seeing Mercedes and Stephanie up there felt like a shot, adrenaline straight into my arms, right? But we need to bring back true like pre-match graphics. Make the men stare in each other's eyes. Make them turn away and look away. Make them do poses. That's what I live for. Give me the drama. And eventually, like, that's one of the things that I ain't gonna lie. And I know, like, I guess in kayfabe, they never do it without killing each other. But why did we never get a Swerve Hangman photo shoot? I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it.
It would just be them choking each other out.
Yes.
And you don't do that for free.
Well, that's why they're getting paid the big bucks, not me. Listen, I can't say what I want to say about what those photos would do.
Yes, you can.
Listen, let me tell you something. I think that photo shoot prospectively would make several people feral. I'm not saying that I'm one of them. I'm not saying that I'm not. But we need to bring it back. Also, like I said, I want them also to do, if anybody remembers back in 2009, when WWE did that big Ring Generals photo shoot with all their top guys. I used to actually have it on I used to have it above my bed when I was growing up. So I used to have it above my bed for years.
You know what they should do?
What?
I was gonna say they should do like a newsletter. Just updating who the champions are from month to month.
Ever since Mercedes started doing her newsletter, I don't know. More people need to start doing their own newsletter. I'd subscribe. I love Mercedes' newsletters. I really do read them. They're really good. Like, they're actually really good. Like if Hangman Page ever released a newsletter, I would read it, and I know it would have great grammar. I'm seated. I know him. He would. I would see so seated. I used to listen like when he used to post his playlist and stuff. I used to listen to the whole thing. Like, literally, I think that wrestlers wrestlers need to understand that there's so much more that they can do than just get TV time. Like, there's a lot of ways to build a following. And I think there's a lot of ways to like engage people outside of the traditional product. Of course, TV time is important, but I think people who are really examples of that, the Young Bucks. Like, the Young Bucks really revolutionized what it means to like have, online communities, having relationships with your fans. Like, even before they were ever signed anywhere, they were really big parts of revolutionizing how indie wrestlers could make a living off of really creating a following for themselves and creating investment into them. And I think BTE was obviously a huge part of that. And so I just want people to be more creative. And I think that, Osprey's a little creative. I think Swerve's a little creative. Mercedes is a little creative. Okada doesn't give a fuck. And I think that, he can do that. I just give me something. But like I said, I want a locker room photo shoot. Give me 2009 style with the girls.
Guys,
I want the girls.
hire us as creative directors.
Yes, but seriously. Discount runs out on Friday at 11:59.
I look like Shrek.
After that, Shrek is cool.
I hate Shrek. He's dirty.
Oh, well. Whew, that's
on that
way
note.
to end it. Woo. We talked about a lot today. But yeah, we talked about the fact that I would like to say shout out to women. I love women. I love women. I love women. This was great. Like I will say though, like Forbidden Door right now is being carried by the girlies, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that actually, because especially after 2 years of not really having a huge presence, if they take this shit over this year, cool, got it.
Absolutely,
I'm fine. And honestly, there better be another women's match on that card. At least, honestly, I want 2 more. You can put a multi-something match together. Put Willow with Stars and put Chris with Wade Otai or some shit from Stardom. Or do whatever you got to do. Also, Willow Nightingale better be on that Forbidden Door card.
Absolutely.
Like, seriously. I want to see Chris Statlander on there, too. Let Chris wrestle Micah. I ain't gonna lie. Micah's free. Oh, my God.
Let Chris squash Chris Jericho.
Then climb that learning tree, bitch. Yeah, climb that tree.
Pussy ass nigga.
Take that dog. Yeah. Yeah. As you can see, it's 12:19. We are doing, we go ahead. We finna head out. But New Japan Dominion is this weekend. If you want to keep up with anything Forbidden Door related, I do think that show is a must watch probably this weekend. I think a lot is going to be very consequential for Forbidden Door. We'll probably get a few AEW appearances somewhere or another, so we shall see. But thank you once again for watching the Dynamite Book, all 960 of you.
God damn, why?
I know. Oh, they was hard. Like, you know what? And I do want to say, we have been having talks recently of how to expand, grow this show, and possibly our own stuff. So just stay tuned in this space. We have some cool stuff.
Thanks for supporting us and continue to do so if you don't mind.
Yes.
Even if you do. I don't know. And a lot of you should let your white guilt compel you to stick around forever.
Ding ding. And send us money.
Yeah, that too. You can find me.
I was just about to say that. Please.
Yeah, I got you. You can find me on Twitter at Dani Don't Miss or at Black Girl Wrestling. And you can check out our Instagram as well. Also check out our website, because brand new blog post that will immediately kill the vibes. But I think it's important.
Think so, though. I do want to say this briefly though. I don't know if any of you guys read it, but Dani wrote a really important piece about sustainability and professional wrestling, and we don't talk about that enough. I think travel is obviously a huge part of wrestling, even as fans. We know whether it's, and I think about me last year. I don't even want to think about my footprint last year of just all the places I was flying and everything. I'm just
what you've done. I wrote the article to shame everyone. Okay, I wanted everybody to feel bad.
And I think that the first wrestling company to really openly make a sustainability pledge, I do think that they will be a cut above the rest. And I think that it's a very, and I think specifically for AEW, I think with this summer series that they're running this summer, in Arlington, Texas, I think that they have a real good possibility of being a leader in the sustainability space, where wrestling wise, if they really invest in it. Here's the thing, and reading your article, it did kind of kill my vibe in the sense of, fuck, I love me a custom set. I do love me a custom pay-per-view set. I live for that shit. And I do think that for some shows, custom sets are a must. And I do think that, for the WrestleManias, the all-ins of the world, yeah, custom sets, we got to do it, do it big. But sadly, these LED screens are a lot more cost efficient, and they are better than the environment. And so
So look, I would just argue we just need to get better at the way that we utilize them. But yeah, no, that article, I tried to keep it kind of balanced. I'm like, okay, everything is kind of the worst, and we are all contributors, but at the same time, here are some tangible things that we could be doing to at least help a little bit. And like I said, my biggest thing was like, there's no major wrestling promotion, at least in the US, that has made any sort of sustainability pact, sustainability pledge. A lot of major companies, when you scroll down to the bottom of like their websites and stuff, it'll say like info, jobs, and then it will say sustainability. Like, we don't have that.
It'll be like by 2035, we will be at 0 carbon emissions and shit like that. Whatever.
We will be, whatever. So at least, so I think that it's important that we start talking about it and having that accountability, especially in places like AEW, which I think has a lot more, I don't say possibility of that actually happening. I
think they have a lot more.
So challenging people to be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they have a lot more given. I think especially when you think about Tony and the Khan family specifically getting that stadium built in Jacksonville for the Jaguars, 9 times out of 10, like, we were, like you said in the article, talking about building things for sustainably. Like, most stadiums that are built now have to be thought about with the future in mind, with climate change in mind, with temperature changes in mind, with, just the earth changing in mind. And so, especially as, him and his father are like, considering, okay, what is this going to look like? A lot of those same principles need to be applied specifically to AEW, just because, and like I said, I do think that this residency in Texas this summer is going to be a really, really, really good trial period of like, how can some of these things be put in action?
Especially considering the Texas energy grid situation.
What is the Texas energy grid situation?
Oh, well, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
We don't fully.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna get my environmental background.
It's so funny that you said that, because I found out, it's just like I find something new out about you all the time, and it's like another thing we had in common, because like I was in recycling club in high school. Aww. And like I took AP environmental science. And so like
I worked for the Sierra Club for a little bit.
Gosh.
So yeah. Oh my god, we're right
Black
here,
dirty girlies. But yeah, so if you please get a chance to read that. I have an article that I've been working on forever and I have not finished. And I told myself, if it's not done by Friday, I'm just going to turn it into a Twitter thread. I just don't care anymore. But it needs to get done. But yeah, thank you everybody for supporting. You can follow me at Lyric Wrestling on Twitter and Instagram. You can subscribe on YouTube at Lyric Swin. I haven't been posting as much on the podcast realm. Sorry guys, life has been beating my ass. But hopefully within the next few weeks, I will have at least something to share with you. So super excited. So keep an eye on us. Thank you for supporting this space. Thank you for supporting the show. All 977 of you. That is always crazy to think about. Like, bro, do you understand that almost 1,000 people watch us every week? And the thing is, by this point, we're already delirious. Like, once we pass, especially if we ever make it past that 145 mark, we are done. We're like
nonsensical. We're talking about the energy grid of the state of Texas.
We started the show, and I mean, we started the show hot. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember what I said at the beginning. I hope nobody clipped it, because like I was geeked.
I know I'm out of slavery, so it can't be worse.
Whatever. The comment was crazy. That was crazy.
The fuck ever. Who gonna jump me about it, huh?
You know what though? But we should have known that some general hating was going to occur. You know that Kendrick Lamar announced that he's doing a show. He's doing a show at the Forum.
Yes.
Everybody say "Oh,
Viho." When I tell you, I was at the club the other day and they played that start to finish. He didn't mix it with shit.
You don't have to. The thing is, I'm very terrified for Drake, because it's a really big possibility. Kendrick is going to. That is terrible. Kendrick is going to start at like that and literally do every diss record. until Not Like Us. He's going to close the show to a standing ovation. He's going to bring out all of Drake's fighters. Rick Ross is going to
They're going to give him a Grammy on the spot.
Rick Ross is going to walk around a theoretical pool, and then Metro Boomin and Future are going to stand in the background just nodding and shit. It's going to be
beat a pinata that look like you. It's going to be crazy.
They're not like us. They're not like us. I will also say Drake. I don't ever really wish physical harm on anybody, but you should probably be shot. That is crazy. Now, during that whole beef, I was like, oh, like let's not get violent. When I heard that, he said, Wagwan Delilah. Wagwan Delilah.
I want to clarify for the audience, whoever might still be here at this point. Anything that we say past like an hour 15 cannot legally be used against us in a court of law.
Not at all. Like, brother, no, seriously. That Wagwan, no, brother, no. We gotta get him out of here. I'm not gonna lie. Whatever Kendrick said you did that shit. I believe it. Get out
Wagwan, get into rehab or a cell. Get into a jail cell.
Wagwan.
What is the Canadian equivalent of the FBI? And why aren't they?
And I don't know what that was. And also, everybody just has been dropping up shitty music because J. Cole, I'm not gonna lie, what was that? That Grippy, you don't make music like this.
Not like that.
No, I'm not gonna lie, Drake. And here's the thing, I love J. Cole. J. Cole's my favorite rapper, and that's why listen, hear me out. This is why I'm even more frustrated because J. Cole, you used to jump on Miguel songs, love songs, talking about Martin Luther King and shit. So now you want to rap about that Grippy? Seriously? You?
Does now seem like the time?
Does now
seem look around. Miguel said, give me some smooth for the girls. And he said, freedom is really something that concerns me to my core. And then now we got all this shit going on in 2024. And you talking about, is that Grippy?
That Grippy? Like, that my thing is you?
When no name read him up and down, which I know was probably a first for him.
Well, but no, I was about to say. He has a college degree. Oh yeah, God! I'm not gonna lie. I need J. Cole. Listen, I do want to hear the fall off. I want you to know that. I just need you to. It's okay to take a little break until you're ready to drop the album. We don't need singles. We don't need verses.
Go back to the beach that she was on.
I never want to hear that shit again. Like, I never want to hear that shit again. And Drake,
go ahead and unrelease that for me.
Drake, you are a musical terrorist. I want you to know that. Because Wagwan Delilah, seriously?
And I got some people that want to talk to you. That's for sure. Yeah. Report to the station at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I don't even like cops, but you need to send your best people.
I'm not gonna lie. Listen, Drake will be fine. Drake will be fine in the cop situation. He'll be totally okay. He would be fine. But no, seriously,
you probably like
terrible.
Freaky ass nigga.
He a fan. We need to get off here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you next week.